The housing crisis in Utah continues to grow, even though more homes are being built. But maybe there's a different solution to all this. Robert Gehrke joins us live via Zoom to talk about it.
Robert, we're glad you're with us this morning. I know you are suggesting there's a different solution and that maybe the answer could be found in childcare.
Yeah, it seems like a strange connection, but it's a pretty strong one when you think about it. This column came out of a committee meeting that they had at the legislature last week, where an economist from the Department of Workforce Services was talking about why we have this housing crisis. And I think most of us think, well, it's because we don't have enough homes, right? And there's this fierce competition. He says the homes are there, but people aren't making enough money to get into them, to afford to buy these homes or even rent some of these rental units. And so how do we make it so people can earn more money? I mean, we've talked about minimum wage, and that's kind of a non-starter in this economy. We've talked about some potential tax credits. But one of the things that we do that really impacts our economy is we don't provide enough childcare. So women or parents, it's not just a women's issue, it's primarily a women's issue, I think, typically. But so these parents can't stay in the workforce and advance their careers and earn more money and work more regular hours. One of the leading issues that women have when they're asked about going back to work or being in the workforce, their leading concerns are flexibility because they have other commitments that they have to deal with, and the second is childcare. We're only meeting about a third of the needs that have been identified when it comes to childcare, and it's actually gotten tighter, I think, during the pandemic. I mean, I understand parents are keeping their kids home a lot more, but there's also, now that we're coming out of it, we're going to need those slots available, and they're just not there, and they're not affordable. And so if we can look for ways to accommodate that, to grow our childcare market, it would really make it a lot easier for these people to stay in the workforce, earn more money, and then be able to ultimately afford these homes and rentals.
Well, do you think it's just people with children who are having a challenge with this? Because it does sound like it's really across the board. It's not just about childcare. So why are you focusing on childcare rather than, creating a living wage or something like that, mandating something like that, or subsidies, or more affordable housing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is the silver bullet solution, certainly. This is a much broader issue. We do need more units. We do need, I think housing subsidies are great, and the legislature is putting a lot of money this time into about $70 million into expanding affordable homes. And so the recipe is everything. We've got to throw everything at it. But the child care unit is part of it because, if people can't stay in the labor force, if they drop out of the labor force to take care of family members, it's harder to get back in. They lose earning potential in that window when they're not in the workforce. And, I think affording a home in this market with one income and trying to raise family on the side is a tough ask. Now, one of the issues that the child care providers are having, too, is keeping employees. I mean, if they can make more money working at a McDonald's, say, than taking care of kids. Taking care of kids is a hard job, frankly, and probably not appreciated enough. And so, that's if we can provide incentives, tax breaks for the providers, for the employees who are taking care of the kids, and for the parents. It's got to be like, a holistic solution, or else we're never going to get there. And that's going to take some money. But right now, the legislature is talking about how they want to spend this pandemic relief money. And I think this would be a good place to look. Again, not a silver bullet solution, but one that I think needs to be on the table.
But things are already in the works, right? They're already looking at some ways to address this child care issue in the legislature.
Yeah, and this is really encouraging. It's a discussion we haven't really had in an honest way for several years. But this year, Representative Steve Handy said they're going to spend the next several months looking at solutions, looking at ways to incentivize providers, make it more affordable for parents, just sort of across the board. And so one of the issues that they've identified, for example, is mixed families, one where one parent is a citizen and the other isn't. They've not been eligible for grants in the past, but now they're trying to link that to the child. So if the child's a citizen, they can get the grant. That's kind of a no-brainer, but they're going to start exploring other ways that they can try to stimulate this market. Nationally, it costs us about $575 billion a year in lost economic productivity because of an inadequacy of childcare. And so again, Utah's pretty low when it comes to national rankings on availability of childcare. So if we can start tackling this issue, and it's also, I should add, and I probably didn't emphasize this enough in the column, it's really good for the kids. I mean, if you get them in pre-K, if you get them in kindergarten, if you have them in quality childcare programs early on, they're ready to start school when they start, and they actually have been shown to be ahead of other kids who don't have those opportunities. And so I think there are benefits on the back end for the child that are a little harder to quantify perhaps, but they're definitely been shown to be there.
It sounds like you can solve a couple of challenges all in one fell swoop here. So, interesting brainstorming session, I think. Yeah, Robert Gehrke's column is in the Salt Lake Tribune, sltrib.com. Thanks, Robert. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week.
You too.